Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your location and time. Okay, welcome back to another episode on Crossroads. Well, today we'll be reading a book titled Tõwñ of Mystérîà. Okay, this is a fantasy novel and more of a romance novel. So not everything there is realistic. It contains some magic and mysteries and for those who love such books, we are going to dive into this today. Okay, so introduction. Hundreds of years ago in the mountains of Colorado, the small town of Mystérîà was accidentally founded by a random act of demonic kindness. Over time, it has become a veritable magnet for the supernatural, a place where magic has quietly coexisted with the mundane world. It's a town like any other town, where the high school's fighting fairies give fans something to cheer about, where everyone knows your name. If not, exactly what are you? At the local bar, and where the wishing well actually lives up to its name. Strange occurrences happen every day, but now, the ladies of Mystérîà are about to unleash a tempest of seduction that will have tongues wagging for centuries to come. So, in this book, we have about 4 different stories. And the first chapter, the first part of the story is titled Disdaining Trouble by Mary Janice Davison. Okay? Now, let's read the introductory part of this particular part of the book. When Desdane triplets were born on a frigid February night, Withering came first, then derisive, then scornful, all sunny side up and staring with big blue eyes at the ceiling. The doctor and attendant nurse screamed and screamed. This startled Mrs. Desdane, who started doing quite a bit of screaming herself. Despite the epidural, 2 other nurses and a resident also came running, and so did a custodian, wielding a mop like a lance. The doctor was screaming because the nurse had dropped a tray full of sterilized instruments on his foot, and a scalpel was sticking out of his little toe. The nurse was screaming because he knew his clumsiness was going to cost him his job. Derisive, scornful, and withering, just staring at the hysteria greeting their first moments out of the womb. Then, obligingly yawned when the cold air beat their fair skin and they were poked and prodded and finally swaddled in warm blankets. The janitor went away, presumably to mop something, ditto the superfluous personnel. Of course, even in a town like Mystérîà, natural triplets, that is, triplets born without the aid of artificial means like IVF or a really good splitting spell, were rare. The triplets that brought about screaming fits from qualified medical personnel were rare still. So, it wasn't long before stories began to spring up about the disdained triplets. The why behind the stories become blurred over time, but the plain truth behind the stories, the triplets were weird, never shaded much one way or the other. On their second birthday, the girls discovered they could do magic. On their third birthday, they discovered if they cooperated, they could do more magic. On their 5th birthday, they decided being good guys was for suckers. And on their 6th, they decided they could count on no one but themselves. But that was perfectly alright. Mom was scolding and loving and superb at not noticing things. Dad had died a month before they were born. And so, time passed. Probably the only magic those who don't live in Mystérîà are aware of or care about. And the triplets grew older, but not fast enough to suit them or their mother. Okay, wow. In our next episode, we are going to dive in to see what this book or this story has in store for us. So, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get notified whenever we drop a new episode. Also, don't forget to share and get your friends to subscribe to this channel as well. Those who are in love with books like this, grab your seats so we can have fun together. See you next time.